G'day viewers, sitting in front of us is a New Jersey Transit Arrow 3. This is a 4-car electric multiple unit, and let's learn how to set her up and drive. Open the door and lift the trapdoor up, and then we can go up the stairs into the unit, and we can put the trapdoor down again and close the door. Now you'll notice that there's no chair. If you just wander over until it says sit in the engineer's seat, you can do that and a chair will miraculously appear. But there doesn't seem to be any way to get it out or open it yourself. Now, if you need to turn on safety systems or reset circuit breakers because you've had a fault during the journey, this panel comes in. This is the one for turning on the PTC system, but I'm not going to do that just now because we're going to drive without it initially because I want to show you that. Let's get on with our setup. The first thing I'm going to do is set our headlights to dim because having them bright in a station is just rude. Then I'll put in the control plug. I'm going to use the shortcut to open the doors. So I use the U key. You can use U is open right, Y is open left, open and close, it's a toggle. Just get this little lever settled on my controller. Here we go. Or you use the left and right D-pad from your controller. You can open the doors using this panel by turning on the guard's master key and pressing the open button for open behind us, so they're all behind us. If you're standing in the middle of the train, you might have some in front or some behind. But we're not going to do that because we're going to do it the easy way, and we'll leave that for the guard modes tutorial. Next thing I want to do is cut the brakes in. So let's have a look at our braking system here. We've got 2 gauges with 4 needles. So we'll take the top one first. The white one is the brake pipe, which controls the brakes being applied or released in the train. Currently it's about 84, 85 pounds. So the brakes will be very much applied. The red needle is the amount of pressure in the brake cylinder on this unit. It's showing you the brakes are applied very hard. The red needle on the bottom gauge is the main reservoir. That's what's kept pumped up by the compressor, and that shows you how much air pressure is available to operate the brakes in the train. And the white is the equalizing reservoir. This one actually controls the brakes. Well, you control the brakes, but you set the equalizing. The brake pipe will follow and equalize with the equalizing reservoir. The horn control is here, should you need it. And up here is the windscreen wipers. So if you wanted to turn the windscreen wipers on, you can. You can set them anywhere you like, whatever speed you want. There's a sun visor if you want to use it. Turning the alerter on and off is here. Now we won't do that at the moment. We'll cut that in later in this tutorial. Platform and train number lights. So this is the usual lights they default on. Just leave them be. Marker and bullseye, this is the red light. So if I look out the front right now, go around to the front of the train, you see I don't have any red lights on, but if I turn that one on and go back to the front, I will have my red lights on. And the vestibule light is the light above your head, so if you're setting up in the dark, you might like to turn that on. You wouldn't normally drive with it though. Now, I'm going to set my ditch lights to auto, so if we go back out the front of the train, you can see they're normally off, and if you blow the horn, they will come on for a while. This beast is the ADU, and it tells you how fast you're allowed to go, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, it doesn't matter whether you've got this safety system cut in or not, or turned on or not. It is still the thing that tells you how fast to go, but the HUD also does, so we'll get into that. This is your brake lever, which right now is in full service, which is where we're going to leave it for the moment. And this is your master controller. Now this one's a bit weird because if you go to the left, it's reverse, and if you go to the right, it's forwards, and it's a little bit fiddly, I have to say. All right, it's time to lock the doors. So I'm using the U key again to do that. And if the doors don't lock, so you notice that they did then, if they don't lock, you've probably got a train fault. So if we just quickly pop out to the menu and have a look in settings and general and scroll this down, you'll discover a couple of new things in TrainSim World 6. There's enable random behaviors. You can turn those on or off. Frequency, there's low, normal or high. signal delays, I think it's on and off, and temporary speed restrictions are on and off, and train faults on and off. If you don't like how often they happen, you might want to turn them down. Now I'm going to leave them turned up at normal because for the purposes of a tutorial, they're useful. All right, it's time to go. The doors are locked. Let's blow the horn, release the brakes, and let's apply some power. Now, this is the off forwards position, and then we'll go into switch forwards, which is where we'll start moving, and then there's P1, P2, and P3. So when you're operating in this mode without the safety system turned on, slow down a little bit, just drive to the HUD and you'll probably be okay. Just brake a little bit, just slow us back down to 15 again. So this is what you'll see if you don't have safety systems turned on. Now, I find that this isn't particularly communicative, so I'm going to turn the safety system on. Let me just stop the train while we do that, and I will put our controller into the safety position. Let me just hop out of the chair and turn around, and let's turn on PTC. Now that's positive train control, and it turns on two systems. It turns on axis and it turns on ATC. Now basically it's telling me how fast I'm allowed to go, so I can go up to 20 miles an hour. That little yellow bit is the permissible overspeed, where it won't whack you or slow you down or stop you. Now you'll notice at the moment that it says I can do 20, but the HUD says 15. You do the least of those. All right, let's release the brakes. Bit of horn action because this is America and they love their horns, and we'll apply some power. Now, I keep an eye on the track monitor because I find what this edition of the ADU tells me what to do is a little bit infuriating. Now notice I've gone over 15, so I'll just apply a little bit of brake to bring that back down. These are self-lapping brakes, so you can just apply and release to your heart's content. They will not get stuck or anything silly. When you want to idle, you just put it in off forwards. Switch forwards, it does actually apply some power. We're allowed up to 30 now on the ADU, but not on the HUD. The HUD still says 15. And that's because the rear of our train hasn't actually cleared that position yet. You notice the HUD's now gone up to 30 as well. So you always do the lesser of what you see between the HUD, whether you're using the little HUD like I am, the minimal HUD, or whether you're using the great big circly HUD that you have on down the bottom. Either of those is the lesser. Now let me show you what happens if you go too fast. There we go. In fact, if I can get us into suppression, there we go, and acknowledge, it shouldn't stop us. In fact, it has stopped us. It's releasing the brakes though, so it's fine. So the McDonald's chip fryer noise there, which I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, that's just warning you that you're way over speed and that it's braking you. So get the brakes until it displays suppression on the ADU. You can try and do that watching the equalizing needle if you want to, or you can just wait for it to say there's suppression on the ADU. You saw the word in yellow text saying suppression. That was fine, and if you don't make it, it will penalty brake you like it did with me just then. Now there's two kinds of braking that it seems to do. It will either do a normal service brake like it did with me, but if you're way over speed, it will do an emergency brake and then you're just stuck. So before we get into this tunnel, let me show you how to recover from an emergency brake. So first up, let me cause one. Right, dumped all the air and the train is stopping. So your controller can be in the off forwards position. That should be fine. Release the brake and you will notice something. It hasn't quite released. That's a bit of an exciting graphic there. The lighting's a bit poor right here. We're right in the mouth of the tunnel, you know, that spot where tsw doesn't light things very well. You notice it's partially released, but not completely. It's actually still sitting on almost 70 pounds there. So you go back into suppression and release it again, and this time it will release. And that goes for no matter what caused the emergency brake, that will always be the same. All right, as we continue towards Meadows, I'm going to turn on another safety system now, and that is called the alerter. So the alerter fires off periodically to make sure that you are awake, basically. When we come out of the tunnel, I'll show it to you. This is a early access preview version, so I've already seen a couple of light baking issues, such as the bright wires, and I can see there's a little bit of a scenic issue with the ballast there, so hopefully those things will be addressed before it comes out. All right, let's turn the alerter on while we're out of a tunnel and can see. Every now and again, the alerter will sound a noise. It sounds kind of like chirping brakes, and it'll flash a red light, and if you just acknowledge it, that's it. It'll just stop until next time it does it again. So we've now got two safety systems turned on. We've got PTC, which is access and automatic train control, and we've got the alerter turned on. Now the alerter flashes a light just up here in the top right hand corner. It is a little bit hard to keep your screen set up to the point where you can see everything. Now I can see I'm going slightly over speed, so I'm just going to go put my master controller to off. There's the alerter, and we'll just acknowledge that, and then nothing else happens. If the alerter gives you a penalty brake, it will dump the air. So I'll show you that next. We'll just let that happen. I'll go no hands. And when the alerter goes off this time, we'll just let it do its thing. Yeah. That's the ADU was making that noise. And I think it's alerting us to an upcoming track change. It makes lots of different noises. I'm partway through figuring out what they all do, but I think that one's letting me know there's a track change. You can follow the NORAD signal color scheme. There is quite a good PDF that explains it. It's good to have a poster. And there we go. Track change. All right, I'm going to go hands-free. Oops, don't want to go in reverse. I'm just going to let the alerter stop the train this time. So we're not going to do anything. We'll just let it stop us. There we go. It's dumped the air and we are stopping. Once the train stops, you can acknowledge that. And see, it's done that partial release again, but it's not a full release. So you have to put the brake lever into the suppression position, which is almost all the way out, and then release, and you'll be able to go again. All right, powering on. If you were in a powering position then, I wasn't. I was already in the idle position, but you'll need to put it back into the off forwards position. If you push past that center position on this controller, it will go backwards, which is probably not desirable most of the time, and off forwards is the idle position. If you see that word safety, you've gone a bit too far, and it's reminding me that I'm about to put it in reverse. Let's do the gratuitous bridge shot, of course, as we cross the river here. It needs to be done. There's the alerter again. It's louder outside the cab than inside. Now it does help to learn to read the signals, so we've just gone through a green there, so we know we'll be relatively safe. But I can see the next one up there. It's green over red, actually. I have a faint suspicion we'll have a cab drop when we get to that next signal. So I'm not going to accelerate very hard. I'll link a PDF in the description for this video and other ones on this route about the NORAC signalling system. It is quite complex. There's our alerter. Now I can see there's a yellow one coming up on the track monitor, so I'm just holding that. And we also have a stop at Meadows, which is a very small station. Very small station. Let's just leave it at off forwards for now. It's the ADU yelling at me. I am going to start slowing down. Because it's basically letting me know that we have to slow down because we've got this signal coming up, which you can see is yellow over green. And the green is flashing. I've got those yucky yellow things on. That's what I want. I just turned that off with Control 7. Brakes off as we continue to roll in here. It's the alerter. Don't be too concerned. I am rolling in too slowly, but don't be too concerned if you see the air brakes go off when you're braking, by the way, because it has pneumatic brakes as well. And often you'll see it initially apply some air and then it'll apply the pneumatic brakes. Now with this one, we actually want to stop with the front car in the platform if we can. When I go to open the doors, it will only open a door where the car is in the platform. So you notice this car is fully in the platform, so it's opened this door. The middle doors only open at high platforms. They don't open at low platforms. And the other ones, because that whole car's not on the platform, it won't open the doors. Alright, we can lock the doors. Looks like that one has worked okay. Because of the new train fault, sometimes they don't. So you'll lock the doors and it'll go, oh, yeah, okay. But it won't really do it. And then you have to go and figure out which one it is. Hopefully we'll get one of those during the tutorial and I can show you. Off we go. Now, this ADU is a little bit different to... the pantograph has dropped. Okay, so we will go to off forwards and press the pantograph raise button. There we go. Fine. Go back onto powering again. This ADU is a little bit different to what we've experienced in previous routes that have an ADU. So I'm still getting my head around it, to be honest. So I can't explain everything it's doing right now. So I'll do a separate video on the ADU when I've convinced myself that I know it properly. So at least for now, I'd leave track monitor on so you get your upcoming speeds and make sure you're below the speed before you get there so you don't get yelled at by the thing and stopped. Alright, we are allowed to pick up some speed, so I will. Notice that the rear of our train passed that marker. We went from 45 to 75 on the HUD, which is the right time to speed up. It's the alerter. Went a bit far on the lever there. You want to go back just to off forwards, not further back than that like I just did. Don't copy what I did. Do what I say, not what I do. You can see on the track monitor that we have got a lower speed coming up, so we should start preparing for that. I'm already in the off forward position. So I'll just gently start bringing my speed down. Because if you're doing the speeds long before you get there, nothing bad will happen to you. It'll be fine. Alright, we can knock the brakes off now, because we are down to the upcoming speed. Now we may get a cab drop for the signalling as well. We'll just see if it clears or not. Coming up to Newark Broad Street. Which I think from memory, the other Newark station, yeah, it's over there. That's on New York Trenton. You can see that bridge over there. Yeah, just acknowledge that we aren't going too fast anyway, I don't think. Come on. No, you are going to make me go down to that. Okay, fine. Now we're good. Like I said, I'm not completely up there with what this thing wants all the time. I can see we've got a 30 coming up, so we'll just slow down for that though. A little bit of brake on, bring us down to 30. So it's going to take me a while to learn this. It will take you a while to learn this unless you already know it. And if you do, brilliant. In fact, if you know it well, make me a tutorial. Because I had to learn it the hard way. Once we get to Newark Broad Street, that will be it for this tutorial, because I'll just show you stopping in a normal platform. And we'll leave it there. I'll do a separate one later on for how to change ends. I won't do it as part of this one, because it's not something that most people will ever do. It's an unusual event in the service life. As you learn the route, you'll know where it wants you to go faster and slower, and eventually you'll be able to turn the track monitor off.
The next station stop is Newark Broad Street. When leaving the train, please watch the gap.
It's one of our happy little announcements. Another arrow coming. This is a high platform, so we should see the centre doors open this time as well. Green boots. Just roll the rest of the way in. This is a little bit slow. In fact, that's where it wants me to stop anyway, so let's do that. Left door's open. And if we pop out here and run down the side of the train, hopefully I can, we should see, yes, the centre doors have opened. So we have all the doors open now, including the one for the driver's cab, which is interesting. We should have all the doors open all the way along the train. And indeed we do. Right, wants to lock the doors. Now I'll just see if there's any that don't lock. No, it did, so we offed East Orange. That's where I'll leave this tutorial, but if you do discover that one of the doors didn't lock, what you'll have to do is manually go and lock it, so or unlock it. So if I just pop up, actually I'll do it with this door. So if this door was open, for example, and you got a message that one of the doors was stuck, all you have to do is go up to it, find the hotspot for the door, and close it, and then it'll release it. You can't use the panel to do it. You have to do it by hand. All right, that's it for this tutorial on the Arrow 3. If you've got any questions, please chuck them down below. I can't help you a lot with the ADU because I'm still learning it, but I'll try. So if you just ask the question and I'll find out. All right, folks, have fun, enjoy yourselves. Look up the other tutorials for Train World 6 things and enjoy the game. All right, have fun. See you later.
We played a game.